And another thing I want to point out is that sometimes it seems like keto isn't working. So I'm eating healthy and everything seems well. And then all of a sudden, bang, I eat something that I used to eat before and I had no problem with. And I'm having an allergic reaction, a bad reaction. Again, making us feel like, oh no, keto is causing allergies. Honestly, from what I've seen, two major factors impact our ability to stick to our diet and to lose weight, because actually they're the most important factors and they impact everything. And it's funny to me that we don't talk about these two things, but they are our physical health and psychological well-being, so our psychological health. If you have any medical struggle at all, your weight's going to suffer, right? Like not being able to move and do what you want to do, right? So if you're bedridden or if you have pain like I had that stops you from able to get out there and live your life, you're spending so much time inside that of course your weight is there's going to be an impact on your weight, 100%. Taking medication is also going to lead to weight gain, right? That's a common side effect of many medications is weight gain. But we also have things like chronic health conditions that cause us to give up on life, feeling like if we need food to feel good because we're not able to do anything else. That feeling that we hate living like this. If we have a condition that doesn't get better, if the pain is constant, I know that story. That was my life for quite a bit of time. If everything that we've tried has failed, know that story too, then unfortunately food can become a comfort, but also trying to stay healthy just might seem impossible because every single thing that I try to do doesn't work. And so it's like banging my head up against the wall because the things that I think should be helping me to lose weight aren't really helping. But then we also have the emotional struggles, right? That when we are not doing well psychologically, our weight can also struggle. For some reason, when we don't feel good in our mind, like when we're sometimes depressed or anxious or whatever the thing is happening, we actually sometimes stop taking care of ourselves. We're no longer doing the things that help us live our lives in a positive way. And then, of course, there's the fact that often people who are struggling emotionally, mentally are blamed for their emotional situations, right? We're given that hearty snap out of it. What's wrong with you? Get better. As if we wouldn't do that if it was that easy. Often we don't understand why we're struggling. It could be that this is just the way our home looked the entire way that the entire time that we were growing up. And so we don't know anything any different, right? We don't have a better example. Could be. Or it could be that something really huge happened in our life that we haven't managed well. Regardless, most people don't want to be stuck in that situation, but sometimes they are. Now, sometimes we might be taking medication that can cause weight gain. So again, it's so hard to solve some of these things because we hate our situation and we want it to be different, but we don't know how to make it different. Now, I give up. I don't want to live like this are things that I've heard both people who have physical ailments say and people who are struggling emotionally say. They don't want to be in this negative situation and they don't know how to get out of it. That being mentally okay is actually a prerequisite to being physically okay. And being physically okay is a prerequisite to being mentally okay. These two things are so closely tied together that if you don't have one, chances are you're not going to be able to adequately have the other. So if I'm not feeling emotionally okay, am I working out? Am I eating properly? If my emotional isn't there, but if I have an illness or if my body isn't working the way that it used to emotionally, am I taking care of myself? So these two things, if we don't have one, it's hard to have and we need both of them, right? So here's what's unfortunate. Being overweight is seen as a chronic illness that brings us both physical and emotional limitations. Maybe I'm taking medications because I have diabetes or something, but maybe I'm taking a medication to manage my weight, which I don't encourage, but a lot of people do that. All these new medications that have come on the market, Ozempic, or even metformin, people have been taking to manage their weight. If you're taking medication, then this allows us to characterize ourselves as sick and dependent, right? And that has an impact on our actions, right? Because medications, they sometimes limit how we can interact socially, because maybe, for example, I'm taking certain meds, I can't go out to the bar, and that's going to impact my way that I see myself, even though I'm not saying that drinking is a good thing to do. I'm not saying that, but it impacts how I feel about myself as an adult, not being told I can't do this thing. And it makes you feel different. It makes you feel like you're not the same as everybody else. Maybe the limitation is that I can't go where I want to go and do what I want to do because of my weight. And you know what? I will totally be the first to say that for a lot of us, that's like in our head. Like that's me putting limitations on me because of like the way I feel about myself, the way I feel about how I look in a bathing suit, or right. But sometimes that limitation is more physical. Like maybe I go to the water park and climbing all those stairs, I can't do it. So I don't want to go and not be able to participate. It's so difficult, right? Because from what I've seen in my own life, I've done these things, right? I mean, not wanting to run, because when you run, everything's jiggling around and you don't feel comfortable. It's sad, because maybe I even remember like not wanting to date at certain points in time because I didn't feel comfortable. It impacts every part of your life. It slows you down. It stops you from doing the things that actually are going to be healthy for you and help you to move forward. So you might be lonely because you're struggling, because you're the only one that's eating the way that you're eating, right? And so it's hard to stick to your diet because you feel like this isn't, again, normal because nobody else is doing it. When we do keto, so many people try to bring us down, right? They're constantly criticizing how we eat and planting these seeds of doubt, making us feel like this decision we've made based on a lot of information from doctors, based on a lot of research that we've done, based on our knowledge now that inflammation is what's causing this problem that we've been living. They make us believe that it's not going to work. They make us feel like we're stupid for trying something that is giving us results, because a lot of the time we continue to hear this negative talk even when we've lost 20, 30, 40 pounds, 70 pounds, and I still hear it. I still hear people, like eventually the weight's going to come back. It's been 5 years, but eventually, right? So this pushes us, unfortunately. When we're hearing this negative talk about this thing we're trying to do for ourselves, it pushes us. And for some of us, that perfectionist in us is going to come through, and we're going to feel that need to prove them wrong by doing keto exactly perfectly. Or we're going to give up, right? Maybe give up before we get to our full results, give up before we get to any results, because we don't want to fail publicly. So if I can't do it perfectly, then I don't do it at all, right? That first time you slip and eat the wrong thing or didn't measure properly and you say, yeah, they're right, this is too hard. But neither of these two responses is actually serving you, right? Doing keto perfectly to lose weight and shut up the naysayers, it might seem like a good strategy, but the better you eat, the more your body will adjust and use food to improve itself. So, one thing we need to keep in mind is that plateaus, they happen during repair. As your body is doing well and you're giving it good quality food, it has an opportunity, right? And I honestly believe that when we're in plateaus, so we've lost let's say 20, 30 pounds and then we're on a plateau, I would encourage most people to look at that as a time where your body's doing internal cleanup, because it can, right? You've given it the building blocks. You've given it what it needs to do something better inside. And it's been my experience that most people, after not even a month, their weight starts to go back towards a good place. But that's also going to depend on how much damage you might have, right? How quickly does your body go back to losing weight versus focusing on taking the good quality food that you've been eating and using it to repair itself. The other thing that might cause people to freak out when their weight doesn't seem to be moving is that your numbers might not be your carb number might not be 20 grams, right? What if, like me, your carb number is 18, right? What if it's less than what you expected it to be? But you're still eating 20, maybe you're even eating 25, and so your body's struggling, or, the progress is not what you expected it to be. And for myself, I'm lucky because when I go over my 18 grams, I have physical pain. So it's not like just I'm waiting for the weight to come back on. I feel it. But there's a lot of people that don't feel it. It's just the weight doesn't come off. And then they're not sure if keto is working. But for a lot of people, if there's a lot of damage that you've lived, then guess what? It's going to take maybe 18 grams or less, maybe 15 grams or less. I remember watching Michaela Peterson, and she can't eat any carbs at all. Or she has reactions, physical pain reactions. Everybody's different. And another thing I want to point out is that sometimes it seems like keto isn't working because you figure out other things. So I'm eating healthy and everything seems well. And then all of a sudden, bang, I eat something that I used to eat before and I had no problem with. And I'm having an allergic reaction, a bad reaction. Again, making us feel like, oh no, keto is causing allergies. Honestly, from what I've seen, what's happening, at least for me, it was showing me once I got rid of the carbs, so all that sugar that was causing so much pain that I couldn't tell anything else, I got rid of the sugar, and all of a sudden, nightshades, the issue that I was having with nightshades was able to present itself. And Wellness Warrior, I'll say it's, in my mind, similar to if your basement is cluttered with a bunch of boxes, and then you clean up all the boxes and notice there was a leak. Taking the boxes out of the basement did not cause the leak. It exposed it. And that's the way that I look at it when, well, at least in my case, I saw that all of a sudden nightshades were causing a problem. And honestly, taking nightshades out of my life, I feel even better. And one last thing I want to point out about possibilities of feeling like keto doesn't work, because we're trying to do it perfectly and then we're stumbling because all these things are going wrong, and it makes us want to give up because it's not working. But when you do keto very well, your body actually can gain muscle. So what happens is that you would actually, because you have more human growth hormone, because you're eating better and your insulin, all these important sciencey things that you should watch the doctors to figure out more about happen, and you end up building better muscle. And it's amazing to me because I didn't really think that I would be able to build muscle, this stage of the game. And it was cool to see myself gaining muscle. But what does that mean? When I step on the scale, I'm heavier than I was the week before. And it's like, oh, because why? Muscle per square inch weighs more than fat. So your weight will go up, even though your weight is, so you're not going to have as fast of a weight loss, right? So if you do keto correctly, weight is not going to come off perfectly smooth, 2 pounds per week until you reach your goal. That's not how it's going to look. There's going to be variation, right, in your weight loss. And, well, obviously, if you don't start, then you just don't get the benefits of doing keto, right? So it's important, like anything else you will ever do in life. The goal is to do it to the best of your ability. You know, I've been doing keto for more than 5 years, right? And I'm going to be 6 years in April. It blows my mind, but more than 5 years. And I still watch videos about keto, especially videos from doctors explaining like more things they're figuring out from the new research that they're getting and confirming what we've been living, right? And I want us to think about how if we want to be at the best health we can possibly be at, doing more research is ideal, right? My health is so important to me that I want the latest and greatest information. That's what I want to make sure that I'm on target with everything I put in my mouth, and learning even I want to add to my arsenal of information when it comes to eating, when it comes to sleep, when it comes to exercise, anything. And since I'm not a doctor, I like being reminded of why I'm eating the way that I'm eating, right? Because believe it or not, I still end up learning new things from the doctors that I watch, right? And that really does allow me to adjust what I'm doing. So Wellness Warrior, I am encouraging you to be kind to yourself. You're not a bad person, right? You're not as bad as they try to make you feel like, oh, because right? Because you have weight to lose does not mean there's something that's inherently bad about us, right? There was nothing wrong with me or bad about me. Most of us, like me, were overweight. So I was overweight because I didn't know that carbs could be addictive. I didn't know that they were causing my weight gain. And I'm going to back up on that, because did I really not know that carbs could be addictive? That's kind of not true. I remember learning in university that they did experiments and they showed how mice would work more for sugar than they would for hard drugs, right? I remember watching that and being like, whoa, that's scary. But I didn't put it together that was going to impact me, right? Like, I didn't put it together that I could be in that situation one day where I'm not controlling what I'm eating, that the food is controlling me. And then when we internalize the idea that we're just lazy and greedy, that's what the food companies try to get us to believe, right? It's even harder to change our behavior, right? Because we end up blaming ourselves for this horrible situation that we're living. And this difficult life that we're living makes us angry with the world, angry with ourselves. And guess what happens when you're angry with yourself, Wellness Warrior? You don't change things in a good way, right? You punish yourself. And you're mean to yourself because you're upset with yourself for being in the situation that you're in. And normal dieting is all about punishing ourselves, right? In a normal diet, we restrict what we eat, so what we're feeding ourselves, to the point where we force weight loss. And most people who've done a normal diet acknowledge that it does not feel good. It's not a natural, easy thing to do. We're not looking forward to it. But when you do a keto diet, a well-formulated one, I know what happened to me was that I ate enough at every meal, and therefore I wasn't hungry. It was not a struggle. It was easy, right? Throughout the process of losing 70 pounds in 5 months, I never felt deprived or restricted on my keto diet. And as a matter of fact, during my keto diet, I ate I would say the healthiest I've ever eaten, because I had more vegetables than in the so in that 5 months, I had more vegetables while I was losing weight than I had in the entirety of the 5 years before, like before I did the diet, because my plate was meat and vegetables compared to my plate that used to be meat, rice, a bunch of rice, and then a little bit of vegetables. And can I say that it's like a really big frustration / I find it ridiculous. I find it hilarious when people say that keto is eliminating a whole macronutrient, because I know what I was eating before I started keto and what I eat now, and I eat much healthier now. And yes, I still eat vegetables, right? But going back to my point, I was not restricting myself in the slightest. Like, you need to be confident in what you're doing if you're going to stick to a diet and do it long term and get the results that you're trying to achieve. So if I would have been doing something that seemed less healthy than what I was doing the 5-10 years before that, when my weight skyrocketed, of course I would have been scared to do it. But because I found these doctors who helped me to understand, so Barry, Berg, Westman, Fung, Bickman, I'm going to forget people, but like those are the ones I watched the most. They helped me to understand what I was aiming at. What's the goal of eating properly? Why am I trying to eliminate processed sugars out of my life? Right. And so when I found quality sources of food and I started eating them, well, of course, my health improved. These doctors are there for you guys to follow, right? They share good information, right? And when you have good information and you apply good information, how do you feel? What changes actually happen in your lab results? So get your doctor involved, right? Before and after labs. Like, get your doctor to help you with this. Because if you're consistent, right? Consistently eating keto and seeing results, what do you do with that information? After 1 month of keto, I can let you know that I was in less pain, I had more energy, I was sleeping better, and I had already lost 25.5 pounds after 1 month. Now, of course, you're going to have the people who are going to say, oh yeah, but like the first few pounds of that was water weight. I don't, like, honestly, at the end of the day, if it was water weight, terrific. If I had 25 pounds of water on me, it wasn't water weight, by the way, but these are the kind of going to try to trick you, going to try to make you have doubt, going to try to make that people threw at me, right? But I chose to see this as my new way of life because I saw what was happening. This is not a diet, right? It didn't just improve my weight, right? The health improvements, not only those ones that happened at the beginning, but they kept on happening. My mental clarity improved, right? My mood stabilized. My carb chasing completely went away. I was no longer addicted to carbohydrate. I think that's the most beautiful part of being on a healthy keto diet that I have to talk about, right? The fact that I'm not the most important one was that my aches and pains went away. Actually, I'm wrong. The fact that I started all this because my hip was hurting me and I haven't had limping and crying walking up the stairs in over 5 years. Now, my hip pain has come back on occasion when I eat the wrong thing, right? When I went over my 20 grams, it turned out to be 18 grams, my hip pain, that's what helped me go back to doing what I was supposed to do the right way. But can I just say that, yeah, those aches and pains, they're completely gone. It's been 5 years and I'm still at the same weight that I settled on back in 2018. I settled on it, right? So here's what happened. I was 10 pounds lighter. Actually, you know what? I'm wrong. I'll tell you the story and I'll tell you why I'm wrong. I was 10 pounds lighter in 2018, September, and I decided to put back on 10 pounds because I looked too thin. I looked sick. You know, like I lost 70 pounds in 5 months. It was looking kind of, so I put back on 10 pounds, but I actually recently, when I've been weighing myself, and in the last 2 months, I've been consistently, or last month and a half-ish, I've been consistently 5 pounds less than I was in 2018. However, I think the fact that I put on some muscle, I no longer look sick. So I'm extremely happy with that because I don't like looking sick, right? All that to say, I maintain weight on me purposefully because I like to look a certain way. But if I were to just eat only and stop only when I'm like not hungry anymore, I probably would be weighing much less. So I eat a little bit more than satiation because I want to keep a bit of weight on me, right? I like looking like this. Wellness warrior. I want you to understand that when we look at our mental and physical health and make sure we're taking care of ourselves, then what happens is that rather than having a perfectionistic reaction of, I have to do this perfectly in order to get results, or pushing it away because I can't do it perfectly, you figure out how just doing it, right? Just doing it, just eating what's healthy. Let your body do what it does because your body wants to be healthy. I can't stress that enough. Your body wants to be healthy, but what gets in its way is we want to eat fun foods. And if you want to be healthy, then what we need to do is learn how to enjoy eating healthy foods. At the end of the video, I like to say this because it's for the people who stayed this long. My secret hack for sticking to keto for as long as I have, I enjoy the food that I eat. And I don't eat a lot of foods, but the foods that I eat, I absolutely enjoy them. So the meats that I choose to cook, and if I have veg, which if you're new here, I only have veg maybe once or twice a week. And when I do have veg, it's typically the same thing. It's avocado or it's olives because those are the ones that I actually like. I don't force myself to eat vegetables that I don't like. However, there are other vegetables that Pat cooks that I do like. I also don't like to cook. So avocados and olives save me from cooking. But if Pat cooks some vegetables that I like, I will eat them. Pat's my spouse, by the way, if you're new here. And I will eat them because I like them. But I don't force myself ever to eat veg. And I only have it once or twice a week. Why? Because I understand that veg is for fun. Right? That's the fun stuff we put on our plate. So if you're new, I just want you to understand that that's the hack that I want all of my wellness warriors to have, because if you love what you eat, you'll eat it. That's why we've been eating the standard diet and exploding the way we've been exploding for so many years, because we love the way that food tastes. All I'm trying to get you to do is eat a healthier diet that tastes just as amazing, because if you do your research and find recipes to do the vegetables that you love in a way that you love them, then you'll be able to stick to your healthy diet. Now, obviously, if you're ready to stick to your healthy diet, then you need to understand how to do keto properly. If you're going to choose keto, but even if you're choosing low carb, you want to get those cravings under control. So I have a playlist that's in the description, and I'm going to put it in the end card for you to watch, that really talks about how to get those cravings, so to conquer your carb addiction.